You're talking about young people. A lot of them seem to know one thing. White people did some very bad things in this world, and they certainly did. But there are other things to know.
Yes.
And
including the fact that in Sudan right now, which nobody is talking about, you have Arab militia murdering people by the wheelbarrow, including the fact that Africa right now is being overrun by Islamist terrorists, including Boko Haram, with no conversation about that at all.
I did it last week.
Exactly.
Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria.
I mean, this is an actual planned genocide.
Yes.
I mean, they really want to kill all the Christians in that country, and they're systematically doing it.
And the fact that there's almost no response from the global left and no attention from mainstream media is a crime against African people, black people, and human rights. I agree with that 100%. It turns out that there's a double standard for Jews. That is true. No Jews, no news. As long as you can put the Jewish state in the conversation, it's going to be a big conversation. If you can't, you get no attention at all. This is a big problem.
All right, welcome. I'm sorry that I was late, but good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. It's your Nigerian prince, and we are going to have a very interesting show. Okay, we are going to have a very, very interesting show. This one is the kind of show where I am most likely going to get very angry, and I'm going to give you one of my classic, legendary, and not angry rants. You're going to get plenty of them in this live stream. So if that's what you came here for, I will not disappoint you. I'm so happy to see every one of you. We are like 30 right now in this live stream. So 30 of us should, smash the like button. 34 actually. Just smash that like button. Destroy it, okay? If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to it right now. And we have a lot to talk about. A whole lot to talk about. Let me acknowledge some of the, some of the live chats that I've received already. I'm waving to you too, Jax, my sister in Christ. Yes, John, thank you for always being here. Always being here. This person is saying, good to see you, Frank. How are you? I am fine. Thank you. I am fine. I'm doing well. God is in control, Chooks is saying, good day, my brother. Stay blessed. Always appreciate your perspective. I am happy to hear that. I am so happy to hear that. I'm happy to see all of you watching me from across the world. Hopefully this news story about Nigeria is not going to fade away. There are so many people who want it to fade away, but it will not fade away. Inshallah. Inshallah, the greatness of jihad and jihadists and what they are doing in northern Nigeria and in the Middle Belt will not go unnoticed, okay? It will not go unnoticed, and hopefully the world is going to continuously pay attention to this. Ivan Padiz said the genocide of Christians is also occurring in other sub-Saharan countries like Congo, Niger, Mali, Kenya, South Sudan, Angola, and Mozambique. I'm not aware of some of these other places that you've mentioned. I know about what is going on in Mali, what's going on in Niger. Boko Haram is kind of the same thing that they are dealing with in Niger. In Congo is I've forgotten what the group is. And you also did Sudan. Sudan is what's the name of that group? Is it the RSV? I've forgotten their name. But Angola and Mozambique I'm pretty aware of, but Angola is the one that is coming as a surprise to me. And Kenya too. I thought Kenya was pretty safe, even though I know that they are surrounded by, they have Somalia and Ethiopia. But I don't. Anyways, the more you look into some of these things, the more you learn. But let me focus on the one I know, the one that is close to home, the one that happens in my backyard, which is the great nation of Nigeria. That's what we'll be talking about today. In my live stream yesterday, I told you guys that Al Jazeera has decided to do what they know how to do best, which is to run cover for Islamic terrorists. It's so shameful. These people are so shame. It's shameful and shameless. These people are full of shame and yet do not have the ability to feel it. They shamelessly run cover for Islamic terrorist groups, and that's what we are going to be talking about. And you'll be wondering, okay, why is why is Al Jazeera now talking about this? Now, first of all, you need to know that Al Jazeera has been covering these stories. Okay, it's not like when they say mainstream media have been ignoring what is happening in Nigeria and what is happening in Africa. No, not Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera have been covering it, but they've been calling it just tribal issue, header farmer dispute, what else? Climate change related issues, just struggle for resources. That's what they've been calling it. That's what they've been tagging it as. The last thing they will ever call this is, oh, this is Islamic terrorism. This is the ideology of Islam pushing these people to commit acts of terror. That's the last thing they will ever call any of this. If you read all their publications on what is happening in Nigeria, that is how it has been characterized. Climate change, rural disputes, ethnic clashes, something like that. It goes along those lines. That is how they describe what is happening, and that's how they've always described it, which is quite unfortunate. But all of that is hopefully going to be fading away because people are waking up to just how preposterous all of that is. And now that it is happening, they are in panic mode. It's not just Al Jazeera. Like the Muslims in northern Nigeria, especially the prominent Islamic figures in northern Nigeria, are in panic mode right now. Like they are really doing everything. They are like, they've brought out the Islam is a religion of peace. I'm telling you, they've brought out the Islam is a religion of peace. Islam is extremely peaceful. Islam is this. Islam can never. I mean, we have people in Nigeria, like prominent Islamic figures who, like 4 years, 5 years ago, we are boasting about being proud to be called Islamic terrorists. Let me show you one of them. Let me show you. Let me just start with one of them. This is somebody who, as far back as I think 2018 or so, he's like, I'm proud to be an Islamic terrorist. Here's this person. This is Bashir Ahmed. He's somebody who has worked with the administration. He said, it is an honor to be called an Islamic extremist. This is somebody who is proud to be called an Islamic extremist. This is in 2024, just last year. It's not even long ago. Just last year, he was saying, I'm proud to be called an Islamic extremist. I'm proud of it. He was proud of it. These people before they were not hiding. They were proud of what they were doing. They were proud of how it is. They were proud of everything. Now, they are running cover. Now they are pretending like, oh, we don't understand what is going on. Here is Bashir Ahmed now talking about the whole coverage that this news story is receiving from across the world. Here's what Bashir Ahmed has to say. This is his latest tweet. Reload. Yeah. His latest tweet is that this is just propaganda. This propaganda campaign against Nigeria is very dangerous and aggressive. We will continue to defend our nation and uphold its honor and sovereignty. So now, now that the world is paying attention to what is happening in Nigeria, he's calling it a dangerous and aggressive propaganda campaign against Nigeria, the nation that he loves so much. Back then, it was, oh, I'm proud to be called an Islamic extremist. Right now, it is, oh, this is propaganda campaign. This is propaganda, and this is not like some random guy. Okay, this is what his Twitter bio says. Bashir Ahmed, OON, journalist, husband, father, officer of the Order of the Niger, OON. This is like a government issued title. Digital com strategist, media/politics, former presidential aide of Buhari. That's the former president of Nigeria. He was a presidential aide, one of the former presidential aides of Buhari. Here, look at his face over here. As you can see, his face is very Islamic. So this is not a random person. This guy has 1.7 million followers on Twitter. Okay, this is not I'm not picking up tweet of some rando or some randos in Nigeria who are just saying this. No, this is somebody who is in position of power in Nigeria. This is somebody that people listen to. This is somebody that has a huge following on social media. This is not somebody on the fringes. Okay, this is mainstream. But before we get into that, the good news, let's start with something, that is good to see, which is the attention that this issue in Nigeria is getting. I'm so happy to say that this is getting like serious attention. First, from Canada of all places. That's, one of the things that I find really, really interesting about this is how it is getting attention even in Canada. Like, everyone is talking about this, and it is, the Muslims are panicking. Let me get the clip from Canada. Where are you? Clip from Canada. Why can't I find it? Share my eye, they pay me. Okay, here it is.
Another.
Oh, no, this is not it. This is not it. Okay, you know what? Let me just find it from my Twitter. Sorry, guys. I'm looking for a clip, and it's like I didn't save it. Where are you? 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 All right, here it is. From Canada. This person is Catholic Christian MP in Canada. And this is what he had to say about what's happening in Nigeria.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to bring attention to the tragedy Christians in Nigeria are experiencing. The deadly terrorist organization Boko Haram is trying to eliminate the Christian faith from Nigeria. This is the same terrorist group that kidnapped dozens of young schoolgirls and burned innocent civilians alive in cages. According to reports, over 3.5 million people have been forced to flee their homes. 3 churches are destroyed every single day. 7,000 Christians were massacred this year alone, and the faithful must now meet in secret or in burnt-out sanctuaries. Sadly, the world is turning a blind eye to the plight of Christians in Nigeria. There are no embedded journalists covering the violence. There are not daily updates. Politicians around the world are not asked questions about how they will respond. We cannot ignore this violence and tragic loss of life. We must speak out and shine a light on what's happening so that people can donate to relief efforts and provide support to those displaced by violence. To my brothers and sisters in Christ, we know you know the power of prayer. We will not forget you. Stay strong. Keep the faith.
Amen. 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 And that is this is Andrew. I don't know how to pronounce this. Sorry. Names like this are kind of difficult for me to. Let's call him Andrew. Okay. This is MP Andrew from Canada. And I'm so happy to hear him like lend his voice to what is happening in Nigeria. And he focused on Boko Haram, which is kind of, for me, like that is the most modest claim that can be made. Like nobody can dispute the fact that Boko Haram is targeting Christians. Like that is something that nobody can dispute. Yeah, somebody's going to be like, oh, but they killed 1 or 2 Muslims yesterday. True, but their main targets, their primary target, people they are looking forward to kill. In fact, the goal of Boko Haram, for those who don't know, is to establish an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria, to turn Nigeria to an Islamic caliphate. That is the goal of Boko Haram. Boko Haram is like ISIS. They want to take over Nigeria, the whole of the country. And part of their way of doing this is the same thing ISIS did to religious minorities in Syria. That is the same thing they are trying to do in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, the middle belt, and as much as they can get to the south. That is their goal. That is their stated goal. That is their objective. So it's just like saying, oh, but you know, there are like ISIS attacks Shiites, for example. Okay, they kill Shiites, Muslims that are Shiites, for example. Does that mean that ISIS is not a terror organization that aims to kill religious minorities, that target religious minorities specifically? Of course they do. In fact, that is why they kill Shiites. They kill, and that's the same thing with Boko Haram. Their main and primary focus is Christians and other religious minorities in the north. And yes, and also Muslims who do not support what they are doing. Any Muslim who is opposed to what Boko Haram is doing or who stands in their way gets slaughtered too. But it's not but that's not who they are looking for. That's not it's just like, how do I explain? I think this is already clear, but somehow I feel the need to keep explaining this over and over again. But let's just say it. The primary focus of Boko Haram is Christians. The primary focus of Boko Haram is Christians. Plain and simple. And he's not alone. Here is Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz have been like in the United States. Ted Cruz especially has been really like doing the most, and which I seriously appreciate. Anyway, it's not like I'm complaining.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
But Ted Cruz has really been like, you know, amplifying this and making this known and talking about this and tweeting about this and all whatnot. So this is a tweet from Ted Cruz. Officials in Nigeria are ignoring and even facilitating the mass murder of Christians by Islamic jihadists. 100%. Christians in Nigeria, the murder and the massacre of Christians is being facilitated and ignored. I like what he said here because this is very true. Now, these are bold claims, of course. This is not like Boko Haram is attacking. This is both claims, but this is very defensible claim. These are not outrageous claims. Yes, they are bold, but they are not unfounded. They are indeed true. It is actually what is happening. The Nigerian government has been ignoring what is happening to Christians and other religious minorities in northern Nigeria and the Middle Belt. They have been doing it for years. For years. Let me give you one headline that just demonstrates how this has been ignored in the past. Let me get it. Just give me a second. I have a couple of here's just one news headline from 2018, from when Buhari was in power. He said Buhari details as Mighty Allah claims responsibility for plateau killings. Mighty Allah is another like religious groups that should, I don't know if it has been designated a terror group, but it should be designated a terror group, especially when they are taking responsibility for killing of Christians in Plateau, Nigeria. The brutal and mindless killings in the country, especially those perpetrated by Fulani militias in north-central states or middle belt of Nigeria, may continue unabated, as analysts say Nigeria's president, Muhammadu Buhari, continues to deter, is afraid or unwilling to order a clampdown on the known perpetrators of the killings, even as they openly take responsibility for the action. Rather, the president was content to blame other factors, including climate change and opposition politicians for the crisis. That is what Buhari did when this was happening. Buhari would not say, "Oh, Mighty Allah have claimed responsibility for this, and we are going to clamp down on Mighty Allah." Mighty Allah is a group that boldly operates in Nigeria, despite taking responsibility. Like, nobody's hunting down Mighty Allah. In fact, the last news story I saw last year from Mighty Allah is how leaders from the southwest, we are having meetings with leaders of Mighty Allah to reach a peace agreement so that Fulani headsmen will stop killing their locals. Yes. And they give press like statements. They go for interviews. When Buhari was president, what did he do? He ignored it and said climate change is responsible for this. And the opposition party, they are the ones responsible for this. So when Ted Cruz is saying this is being facilitated and ignored by the government, he's not wrong. They ignore it or they facilitate it, and I will show you how they facilitate it in a short while. But what he's saying here is 100% true. It is time to hold those responsible accountable. My Nigeria Religious Freedom Accountability Act would target these officials with powerful sanctions and other tools. And this is what Nigeria is afraid of. This is what the administration in Nigeria, they are afraid of. That is what Bashir Ahmed is calling a dangerous attack on the sovereignty of Nigeria. Because if this is going to pull through, if the US is going to take this issue very seriously, Nigerian government is going to face serious sanctions unless they do something about Islamic terrorism. Something that they are unwilling to address. And there's a Reuters. Okay, this news story, we are going to get to it. This is like the latest, one of the latest, as you can see, this is from October the 3rd. This is one of the latest attacks that is happening in Borno. And Borno State is, by the way, Borno State is the state of origin of the current vice president. Remember Shetima? There's the current vice president. That is his state. And there's a recent attack. And more than 5,000 people are fleeing the state right now because of that. And we're going to get into that and see the details of what exactly is going on in Borno State right now. This is not old news. This is recent news going on right now. So Ted Cruz is 100% correct. 100% correct. And another politician that is talking about this is from North Carolina. He goes by Senator Ted Budd. Said, good to see more attention being paid to the violence against Christians in Nigeria. The US should designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern to address the continued unchecked acts of violence and terrorism against Christians, against the Christian religious minority in Nigeria. And this is what, of course, this is what the Nigerian government is afraid of this, how this is becoming a prominent issue in the West and what Western leaders will do in response. They are afraid of it. They are really, really afraid of it. And of course, another group that is afraid of it is the group in Qatar. You know, the ones that are notorious for housing terrorists. Of course, the nation that helps fund, that is the one of the massive funders of terror, Qatar. They are also afraid to see what is happening. You know, God forbid that, you know, terrorism is addressed in God forbid that terrorism is addressed in part of the world. This is Sam Brownback. I think he's a former senator, and also I've forgotten what his position is, but he's a prominent figure in US politics. And here he is on Fox News talking about what is happening in Nigeria. Oh no, what did I do?
When I was the ambassador, we had Nigeria on the special watch list, and then we made them a country of particular concern because this was going on. And it's continued to take place, only it's growing. You've got more terrorist groups in the area. You've got more weaponry coming in.
Yes. What he's saying now is very, very true. There are more terrorists in Nigeria than there were when the Chibok girls kidnapping took place. There are more terrorists in Nigeria, about 22 of them right now, active terrorist groups in Nigeria. It has grown. It has become more because the government did nothing. And because other terror groups from the Sahel region are saying that, oh, Nigeria is a great place to operate in. You can operate in Nigeria and nobody will do anything about it. Many of them are moving in. Many of them are moving from Niger. Many of them are moving from the Sahel region. Many of them are just moving in from Mali, realizing, oh, we have fertile ground for terrorism in Nigeria. Let's go and pitch our tents there. There was one time it was reported that terrorists took over a zoo in northern Nigeria. Yeah, a zoo. They went to the zoo and took over the entire zoo. I guess they were looking for goats.
Got more Christians being killed, and it's spreading throughout the region. You could have a caliphate, an Islamic radical caliphate, throughout the middle of Africa that would have 500 million people if you don't get on top of this. And yet, like you say, nobody even knows it's going on.
Yeah, and nobody talks about it. And that is what like I said earlier, that's what they are seeking to achieve, to establish an Islamic caliphate in southwest Nigeria, in West Africa. That is the goal, in West Africa and the Sahel region. That is their goal. That's the goal of these terrorist groups. And here is the governor of Texas also tweeting about this, Greg Abbott. Here's a tweet from Greg Abbott. Says, Christians are being slaughtered by the thousands. The world must wake up to this crisis. Yes, and they will. Inshallah. Even Mike Winger talked about it. Here's a tweet from Mike Winger, and also Andrew Covert, which is the executive producer of Turning Point USA. But we'll look at his tweet later. Let's read this one. This is from Mike Winger. It is time for Christians all over the world to start talking about Nigeria. More than that, what can we do to stop Muslims from murdering so many Christians there? There are reports of over 50 Christians who have been murdered since 2000 in Nigeria. It's difficult to know what the real numbers are because the Nigerian government is lying to everyone about them. What gives me so much joy is when tweets like this implicate the Nigerian government, because it's important when you're talking about what is happening in Nigeria to implicate the Nigerian government. Yes, Mike, you have 100% correct. The Nigerian government is lying seriously, lying vehemently, lying with every fiber of their being, praying to God that somebody will buy their lies. Like they are lying and lying and lying again. You know, Nigerian government is lying about this, that the former Minister of Information is called Lai Mohammed. I kid you not. The former Minister of Information in Nigeria was actually called Lai Mohammed. But okay, the lie is spelled differently, but pronounced the same. That is how much lies that they have been telling and how invested in lies that they have been doing for a very long time. What can be done to stop it? One of the ways that this can be stopped is if foreign governments begin to put pressure on Nigeria. They need to start putting pressure on Nigeria, imposing sanctions on our government. If the government does not do one, see, let me tell you one thing about the Nigerian government. One thing that they are afraid of. One thing the Nigerian government is so afraid of. One thing that can make them bend. I've seen it happen multiple times. Let me tell you, back in 2000, and I'd forgotten what year it was, Nigeria wanted to ban same-sex marriage. They wanted to not ban it. It's already like they wanted to make a new legislation. It is already illegal, but they wanted to make a new legislation to make it even more illegal, you know. And then they received like serious pressure from the UK. And the president then, Goodluck Jonathan, delayed, although finally it was the bill was signed into law, but the president of Nigeria then, Jonathan, delayed in signing that bill to law because of the pressure from the UK. And this is one thing that I said in one of my, I think my last live stream. I said one thing that leftists know how to do is how to make their cause global. Leftists know how to make whatever it is that they are fighting for global. They know how to insist that other nations comply with what they want. The people that don't know how to do this and don't know how to fight for their own are Christians. Leftists in the UK and in the US and in Canada and other liberal countries would do anything to save one gay person as long as that person becomes like major news story, as long as that person's story becomes major news story in the West, they will do everything within their power to save that gay person. But Christians will hear that Christians are being slaughtered and they'll be like, well, America first. And I'm like, do what the leftists do. Put pressure on your leaders. Make it a prominent topic to be a prominent issue to be addressed, and you see how politicians will take it up. That is one way to save the Christians in northern Nigeria. Put pressure on the Nigerian government, and they will do something. They will do something. When the Nigerian government realized that the normal aid that they receive from the UK, the aid they receive from Germany, the aid they receive from the US, that aid that they go to the UNGA to go and beg for, and beg shamelessly for, that they constantly keep begging for, when they know that that money will not come, hey, when you touch their bottom line, they are going to do whatever you want them to do. The other day, the president of Nigeria, this was last year, was willing to go to war with Niger because France was willing to pay. That's to tell you how foreign influence works in Nigeria. It works like magic. So if you can put pressure on them, that is why they are responding to this issue. That's why they are talking about it. This has been going on for years. It's been reported in Nigerian media for years. The Nigerian media have been talking about this for years. And the Nigerian government have not even bothered to release a statement about it. Sometimes they act like it is not happening. But what they are doing now is because of they see the pressure coming, and they are sending all their like minions to go into the media and to release statements and to talk about what is going on. Now, even in Nigeria, Nigerian politicians are now forced to talk about it, even though what they have to say about it are just lies. So foreign pressure. One thing we know in this country is that foreign pressure works like magic. So that is one of my, that's like one suggestion. And okay, let's look at Andrew Covert. This is from, no, not this one. Sorry. Not this one. This one. This is Andrew Covert. He said Christians, and he was responding to a news story from June. This is as far back as June. When we say this is not just happening now. It's because this has been happening. I'm not even sure this is from June. Okay, yeah, it is from June. This is as far back as June. And this is a terrorist attack happening in Nigeria. And this was reported by, of course, somebody who is a foreigner. And here are people in this state running away. You can hear running away. In Christians, this is a Christian community being attacked. You can hear the gunshot, you can see people running. This has been happening, and June is even too recent, because it can go as far back as 2000, year 2000, and this has been happening. So here is Andrew Covert responding to this. He said Christians are being systematically exterminated in Nigeria with everything that's happened since 9/11. Videos like these are so much harder to see. Imagine the families and children left behind after this butchery. Pray for the persecuted church. Beyond prayers, yes, we should pray for them. But like I said, international pressure needs to be mounted on the Nigerian government. It needs to. This needs to be made a prominent issue. This should be the free Palestine for Christians in the West. It should be. Who else? we're going to listen to Laura Logan and Patrick Bet David, because they too had something to say. Let's start with Laura Lohan. Okay, so yes,
There was
I don't know if this is going to play very well, so give me a second, guys. And this share screen. All right, so here is Laura.
there was no truth, Nigeria.
Logan. Is that her name? Is it Lohan? Logan. Lara Logan.
Yeah. There was no media there was no truth, Nigeria. There was no media organizations. And you know what was happening to those people? To Lawrence and Masara Kim and all of them? The journalists sitting in the big capital cities, the big cities and in the capital, who were taking the line from the government and didn't have the courage or the integrity or the professionalism or the character or the motivation to go to those frontline villages. They just bought the line from the government that it wasn't really happening, and they bought the line from the U.S. State Department that this is nomadic tribesmen being.
She's criticizing how journalists in big cities have covered the news of what is happening in Nigeria. That these journalists are willing, they won't go to the front lines to get first-hand information. Instead, they will just take whatever the government says and take whatever the U.S. State Department says and be like, yeah, that's what is happening. These are just nomadic tribesmen clashing with farmers. You know, that's just what it is. All about climate change. And she's just saying, look, this is what we've been told for a while, but it's not true.
Forced to move from climate change. The Fulani are not really terrorists. Oh, the fact that they're Muslims got nothing to do with it. Because they're nomadic tribesmen, they're looking for other land. They're looking to go somewhere, you know, and that's forcing them to clash with the Christian villages. Nonsense. That's
absolute nonsense. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I find it very nonsensical. They say, oh, Fulani headsmen are just looking for land. That's why they are clashing. Oh, that's why the clash is happening, because they're just looking for grazing fields for their cattle. That is all this is. And then they end up clashing with farmers. Okay, first of all, let's assume that is the case. A farmer owns land. This is his farmland owned by him. It is his property. And then a Fulani from only God knows where, probably from Niger, probably from Mali, because the Fulani tribe is a very big tribe in West Africa. Only God knows where these Fulanis are coming from. Many of them are not Nigerians. These days, we don't even know what it means to be a Nigerian, because somebody can just stroll with his cattle from wherever and come into Nigeria and stroll down to the Middle Belt, stroll down to Benue State, stroll down to Kwara State, stroll down to Ondo State, and it's like, now I'm a Nigerian citizen and the Nigerian government should take care of me. And my cattle has the right to go into your farmland and eat your corn. So let's say that is the case. Okay, should that be happening? Why is the government not even addressing the issue? And then they're making it look like, oh, this is what they say. This is what the Nigerian government say when they don't want to address the issue. They do not want to address the issue. So they talk about, oh, it's just Fulani tribesmen and farmers in Benue State having just a minor community dispute.
absolute nonsense. That is just an example to you of how climate has been used as a scam. I mean, it's not just fake, it's much worse than that. All of these systems that are being implemented that are so profoundly dishonest, they're systems of control. How do we control the people, control the information and the narrative, and then have that as cover to do whatever it is that we want to do?
Exactly.
Which, by the way,
see, climate change is a very useful tool. She's very right. Climate change especially has become a very useful tool in the hand of Islamic jihadists and the people who are running cover for them. Is, oh, if you can just call it climate change crisis, if you can label it climate change crisis, then these Muslims can go ahead and do whatever it is that they want to do without anyone pushing back on what they are doing. They can go ahead and ethnically cleanse communities in Nigeria, which they are doing, by the way. Take control of various areas in Nigeria and Nobody is going to do anything about it or even try to solve the problem, because we can all say, oh, this is climate change. You know, this is the reason why the UK should pursue net zero, because, you know, if they don't pursue net zero, some tribesman in West Africa is going to go into a church and kidnap the priest and ask for ransom. You know you are fighting for land. You know, as a Fulani headsman, it is all about land. When you go to a community, kidnap the Catholic priest in the community, ask for ransom, you are giving the ransom, and then you slaughter the Catholic priest. You know this is how you fight for land. You know you are fighting for land when you go into a village, chase out the men, rape the women, kill the children, burn buildings, burn properties, and then just leave. That's how you know this is all about land. You know, this is how you fight for land. You know, this is all about land. When people go and burn churches, you know, there's something about land and churches. When you burn a church, that's how you claim land, right?
Is to go into Christian villages and not only annihilate people. I mean, in one of the recent attacks that Truth Nigeria has reported on, putting women and children inside cages in the market and burning them alive. I mean, I was sitting down to dinner in my hometown in Texas one Friday night years ago. My husband was with me. It was when we were trying to get the Sound of Freedom was being blocked because people didn't want child trafficking to be a conversation everyone was having. And we were doing our best to help get that movie put out. And I got a video. I showed it to my husband as we sat down. He couldn't eat. And it was a young 18-year-old girl from Nigeria who was pulled from one of the villages. And as they were slicing off her head, they were digging her baby out of her tummy. And she was well advanced in pregnancy. That's the reality of what...
I mean, we've seen many clips of this. There's even the one where Boko Haram got 3 Christians out of a bus and then filmed themselves beheading, like slaughtering, cutting off their head. You know, you see those pictures like that, and then somebody's going to tell you this is just climate change.
You know, when you put those numbers up and you go before your colleagues in Congress and you put those numbers forward, that's what it means in human terms. I mean, Lawrence once was calling Doug and myself. He's sitting in the back of a meat wagon on the bodies of his friends and neighbors with malaria. Remember, after that he went out with malaria for weeks. I mean, these the courage of the people who are on the front lines reporting this cannot be overstated. But the challenge that they face is that the media itself denies the reality that they see and report on with their own eyes and ears. I mean, that's without conscience. Honestly, I stand before all of you in the national...
And she's what, like I said again, she's 100% right. Media, especially Al Jazeera and other left-wing media, who are so quick to characterize this as, you know, climate change issue, you know, just ethnic disputes, just people are just fighting over, you know how people fight every time in Nigeria and in Africa. It's just, you know, these are the like dispute zones. People just wake up one morning and start to have issues. That's kind of what we find in this part of the world. So let's not look too much into that. I think the government has it covered. They are doing something about it.
Press Club of the United States of America, the most powerful free nation on earth, where we have First Amendment rights. And I mean, I cannot say strongly enough to the press corps, do your job. Do your job. Because we are supposed to be the inspiration and also the safety net for journalists everywhere. It is truly without conscience that you can witness the execution of people and have it denied because journalists are too lazy, too corrupt, too stupid, too cowardly to stand up and tell the truth.
Exactly.
That is without conscience.
Exactly.
And, you know, we have to stop being afraid of what people will say to us. We have to stop allowing those who tell the truth to be punished and those who lie to be rewarded.
Exactly. I mean, she said it very, 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 very well. She said it best. Let's hear from someone else. Yeah, let's hear from Patrick Bet David. Which one is? Okay, that's the one. Let's hear from Patrick Bet David. Where it is? Where is it? I think I have the Patrick Bet David clip, or do I? Not sure I have it anymore. Okay, here it is. Oh no, this will not be able to play here.
If you turn on primetime news, you're probably going to hear about what's going on with Ukraine.
On Ukraine's
Ukrainian city of Dnipro.
Ukraine has come under heavy bombardment from Russia.
Or what's going on with Gaza.
But in Gaza.
Gaza.
But you're probably going to hear nothing about the fact that one country has executed more persecutions towards Christians than any other countries around the world combined, and that's Nigeria.
Nigeria, we have become famous. We have become famous. Famous for all the wrong reasons. Nigeria always become famous for all the wrong reasons. Number 2 in poverty. Number 1 in terrorizing Christians. I mean, in killing more Christians than any other country in the world. Because we have a government that doesn't care. We just have a government that just doesn't care. The president of this country, his vice, no, not the president of this country, his wife is a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. In his administration, there are Christians there. And those Christians who keep quiet and what there are pastors in Nigeria. I don't want to name names. There are pastors in Nigeria that when it was Jonathan, that's good luck, Jonathan from the South, when he was president, they were raising their voices talking about how this is Islamic terrorism and how the government is doing nothing. But as soon as their brother, Tinubu, was placed there, all of them became silent. They are not talking again. They have nothing to say. There are pastors like that in this country. They keep quiet. They see what is up. As in the level of tribalism, they would rather have Christians in the north and Christians in Benue and Christians in Kwara and Christians in Niger and Christians in Jos. And Christians in Plateau. They would rather have these Christians be slaughtered than raise their voice and criticize Tinubu, their brother in office. That's the level of tribalism. They are Yorubas first before being Christians.
Just this year, 7,087 Christians have been killed, beheaded in many instances this year, just for going to church. Today, we're going to talk about the events that are taking place in Nigeria targeted towards Christians. More exposure to it, share with other people. Let me tell you why. Since 2009 till today, 125,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria, according to the International Society for Civil Liberties and Rule of Law. By the way, when you're looking at the surge, 7,087 just this year in the first 220 days, that's 35 a day. 7,800 abducted, they disappeared.
And the abductions are, in fact, the adoptions are the most outrageous. Let me give you instances of just abductions. The abductions are like these terror groups will go to schools and just take children, will go to farmlands and just take women there, and the government will do nothing to get them back. They just go and there was one that happened during Christmas. A bus just filled with people who are traveling. Everybody there abducted, kidnapped. There was a time they attacked a train station in that's the railway going from Abuja to Kaduna. I'm telling you, just attacked it, and people were. Let me not describe graphic. It was really, really tragic what was happening, and the government does nothing. Nothing is done. Nothing is done. It happens before Kwara states that we reported on. There's like just yesterday. We'll look at it. Just yesterday, a police officer was kidnapped in the very same Kwara state we are just talking about. It's like you talk about it, you're like, look at what is happening. The administration will say, we have this under control. Tomorrow you hear, they just kidnapped in the same place, in the same village, in the same location. 14 more people are missing. What is going on? The government does not. When I tell you that Nigerian government, what they are an expert in doing is giving speeches, as in coming out, say, okay, points the camera. Now we are about to say something. They say something and say, oh, we have all of this under control. And then 5 minutes after they finish saying that, somebody is killed. Somebody's husband is dead. Then they come, then they wait for maybe after a week. Then they come back again and say, oh, you see, this is there's one that happened in Bokos. What happened in Bokos is the worst. After the attack in Bokos, I've forgotten what minister it is, came to Bokos, the town, and said, this will be the last one. This will never happen again. It will never repeat itself again. 5 days later, another attack happened. In the same Bokos. Like he said, this will be the last one. Nothing is. They just know how to give speeches. Speeches. That's what the government know how to give. They will write very eloquent. One of the best paying jobs in Nigerian politics is to be speech writers for Nigerian politicians. To be their speech writer, because there will always be a reason to write a speech for them.
Can't find them anymore. 19,100 churches have been destroyed. Imagine you going to church. Imagine on Sunday, you just don't take your kids to church. All you want to do is go pray. Maybe.
Or when Boko Haram was in full effect, now they have dumbed down because they have competition. Why Boko Haram is not like the major news in Nigeria is because now they have 21 other competition. Like what I mean by they have 21 other competition, that we now have 21 other terrorist groups in Nigeria that are competing with Boko Haram. So it's hard for Boko Haram to steal headlines anymore. But when Boko Haram was in full effect, churches were hiring private security because churches were blowing up. You go to church and the church will blow up with everybody inside. In 2015, 2016, it was not and this was not even happening in Kaduna. This was happening in the center, in the capital territory, Abuja. I remember that period. I think it was when was it that I traveled to Abuja? I was in school then. When was that? 2016. I think it was 2016. And I went to Abuja. I went to visit my uncle in Abuja. And we were going to church. And I saw, like, as we were entering the church building, I saw security. Private security with guns. I was like, wait, where are we going? Are we going to church? Yeah, we were going to church and you could see security everywhere. And my uncle was like, yeah, it's because of the bombings. Because of the attacks on churches. And this was done by Boko Haram. It was they were targeting churches. Bombing churches. Then, in fact, it was under Boko Haram for the first time in Nigeria. We had like suicide bombers, people who would go to places and blow themselves up, go to markets and blow themselves up.
Peace, sing a little bit, worship music, listen to the pastor, the preacher, what they have to say, the priest. 19,100.
What am I even saying? I remember I had, yes, this is true. I had a somebody who attended my school from the north who survived a bomb blast, a bomb attack in a church. He said, I remember the story he told. He said he was coming out of the church and then he was floating in the air. The way the guy described it was so funny. He said he came out of the church and the next thing he knew, he was floating in the air. That guy, the way he described that story was so funny. He had like this cut. There was a cut on his head because I think debris and stuff like sliced this part of it. You could see like you could. I think he still has it to date. Of course, he will still have it to date. Of this, like an injury on his head. He survived it. He came back to school. He was telling us what happened. He said he just came out of the church and the next thing he knew, he was flying.
Churches have been destroyed. By the way, 10,000 schools have been destroyed that are teaching Christian theology to kids, certain values that they have. And in Nigeria, specific areas, they're being targeted. Now, who is doing the targeting to these Christian communities, these Catholic churches? Many of these guys are the jihadists, one of the leaders being Boko Haram since 2009, later splintering into ISIS West Africa province, the ISWAP and Ansaru, conducting mass killing, forcing conversions, and abductions. And you're seeing this in the news. I'm going to put a picture here for you to see on what's going on. This is what they look like. They're just going around targeting Christians, burning homes, seizing land, destroying harvest, sexual violence. And the way they're going about doing it is they're going at night when you're asleep.
That's sort of the way they attack. They use this element of surprise. They attack a village at night. They usually go at night, especially when they want to attack, when they want to raid a village, they go when no one is expecting. You just start and they go with this shout. The next thing you know, everyone is running. I have, if you stay in this country, especially in the South, it doesn't happen often, but in the North, if you have friends from the North, they will tell you stories about how Christian communities, and some of them is not even Boko Haram. Like the one he's describing is, of course, Boko Haram, but Boko Haram learned this from just how Muslims, right? There's your average Muslim neighbor will attack a Christian community when they want to have like land disputes. And this land dispute are just based on religion. It's religious conflict. And everybody knows it's religious conflict that is causing the land dispute because Muslims want to steal Christian land. That's just what it is.
Night assaults on villages, church seizures and burnings, mass kidnapping, land grab, creating no-go zones for Christian natives. And families are sitting there saying, what do I do? I just want to go to church. I can't. You saw service with everything that's going on. I mean, you know, we get the challenge with our faith a lot of times. How strong is our faith? Is our faith as strong as this guy? They're still in church. They're still there praying. They're still singing to worship music, even though all this stuff's going on. You hear guys talking about, they kill my family. They kill my parents. They burn my house down. They burn my relative's house down. They burn my kid's house down. All I have left is this shirt I'm wearing. Here's what the fellow was talking about. I want you to watch these two clips. One of them is them still going to church on a Sunday, and one of them talking about what happened to him and his family.
My family members, they died in this house, 11, and some died in the other store. Here and up, my house is up there. That place also is burned. And the store where I pack my goods, I store my goods everywhere has burned. They burned my clothes, they burned everything, they burned our food. All my family members, what we kept with is our
You know, the criticism that a lot of mainstream media gets is, what's the purpose of me showing this? It's just Christians. I mean, it's just Christians, but we have to show anything else to raise the temperature and make sure people are angry and go out there protesting. Free Palestine. That's what we need. We need rage. Christians, give me a break. You know, if you're going to go out there and kill 49 Christians in Democratic Republic of Congo that were killed by machetes, not a big story, right? We shouldn't share this if we're mainstream media. Some victims were beheaded and burned, but I mean, we don't need to really talk about it a lot because it's just Christians. We need to really get into the story.
Yeah, one of the things that the mainstream media has really done is like cheapen the life of a Christian. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Like the life of Christians in the eye of those who write these articles, it means nothing to them. Oh, it's Christians. Of course, anything can happen to them. Like the view, of course, for the people who have this oppressed narrative in their minds, in it, like that's the paradigm with which they see the world. You know, Christians are always the oppressors and Muslims are the oppressed. So, you know, it's Christians. So, okay, so what? You know, it's worthless in these people's eyes. You know, the Christian is just slaughtered and hunted away. Church just blows up. You know, Christian communities are just people are beheaded. It means nothing to them. It really means nothing to them. It really means nothing to them. It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. And one thing you can always admire is the resilience. Like I've spoken earlier about it. The resilience of just Nigerian Christians. Your church get bombed and you still attend that. You attend church service the next day. I mean, what else are you going to do? The only person you have, the only person that can help you is God. You know, is it who else will help you? The Western government. We've been crying and shouting. They've not, you know, or the media that is obviously and repeatedly just lying. Or the government that is, even when it is a Christian that is in charge, will do nothing. Will do nothing to even solve the problem because they don't want to anger the Muslim. You know, in this country, you cannot win elections without the Muslim vote. That is the truth. You can't win elections in this country without the Muslim. And the Muslims in Nigeria vote as a single block. Like, Muslims are united in their vote. If they are going to give you will never hear in an election that the Muslim vote was split. Like it was evenly split between, no. They vote one person and maybe some on the fringes, you know, some not let's say fringes, some exceptions may vote someone else, but most of them are going to vote one person. And every politician in Nigeria want to win that Muslim vote because they vote as a single block. So they are going to do anything to appease and placate and, you know, make them happy.
And then you hear stories that's going on in Canada. You got Justin Trudeau, 112 churches burned in Canada, Catholic churches. And Justin Trudeau, former prime minister, gets up there and says, well, I understand their rage. I mean, you have to watch this to believe what the former leader of Canada had to say about all the church burnings that was going on in Canada. Here's Justin Trudeau for you.
Acts of vandalism and arson are being seen across the country, including against Catholic churches. One of my reflections is I understand the anger that's out there against institutions like the Catholic Church. It is real and it is fully understandable.
And by the way, I got a list of other.
Yeah, that's what Justin Trudeau had to say. Violence against Christians. Oh, it's understandable. I mean, we can understand where this is coming from. Really. And that is what they do with also when Christians are being attacked in other parts of the world. They try to understand it. Like, you know what? I really understand where these people are coming from. You know, it's just climate change.
Places to read. The only reason I'm showing you Justin Trudeau is because it's not just happening in Africa or Syria and all the, it's happening in the West as well. We can tell you some of the stuff that's going on in Arizona that happened recently. This is taking place. And so a lot of Christians are saying, hey, what do we do about this? Do we just sit around and not do anything? What can we do about this? Some are saying, hey, well, that's why we need a crusade. There's a spiritual warfare going on. That's what we need right now. We need to get louder. Some are saying mainstream media should talk about it. Well, if they're not, we should talk about it. We will. Some are saying, well, maybe Christians are not understanding the whole concept of tolerance. We should be tolerant. We should be tolerant. Well, if there's an example of a guy that wasn't tolerant, it was Jesus. This concept of being tolerant.
The solution, of course, for me, like I've said, this is where I'm going to end with this clip, but the solution for me, like I've said, is you have to take advantage of what is in front of you, which is you have to do what Esther did when she was queen. Okay? You have to speak to people who are in power, who will listen to you, and you have to mount that pressure. It's about time. You have to mount that pressure. The left will mount pressure for stupid things, like a gay person having the right to adopt a child or something. They will mount pressure for the dumbest things possible. But people on the right, and especially Christians, kind of don't do that. So it's about time the Christians in the West learn how to mount pressure on politicians, especially when you live in a society, in a civilization that owes its existence greatly to the influence of Christianity. You have to raise that voice for Christians. You who are in a place where it is safer have to raise your voice for those who are in a place where it is not safe. That is what it means to be a Christian. You have to have concern for Christians in other parts of the world. And not just this concern of, oh, I'm going to give money to some organization that is going to help some people escape their home. More like, no, we are going to, beyond just that. I'm not saying that is not good, but beyond just that, there has to be international pressure. There just has to be. Because the leaders of these nations, and Islam generally, Islamic terrorism, Islamic terrorists, and nations that condone them, one of the things they try to do is to make sure everyone is unaware of what they are doing. They don't want publicity. They don't want to take main stage. They want to do what they are doing while the rest of the world is ignoring it. They want to be ignored. You have to do the opposite of what your enemy wants you to do. The enemy wants you to ignore them. Do not ignore them. Let everyone know that this is what they are doing. And pressure needs to be mounted on leaders in the West. It doesn't matter if they are Christians or not. It doesn't even matter if they care about Christians or not. It is enough that they even start pretending like they care. Because then and only then will you start seeing this Islamic terrorists withdraw and realize, okay, it's no longer this is no longer business as usual. And just speaking of journalistic, the pinnacle of journalistic integrity when it comes to reporting on on Islamic terrorism, I present to you Al Jazeera. And here is the headline. No, Bioma, there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. From Boko Haram to header farmer clashes, Nigeria's crises are complex. Simplistic genocide claim fuels propaganda. Of course it does. And the person writing this is this guy who who is a special assistant to the president of Nigeria on research and analysis in the office of the vice president. So you know you are hearing from the best. And this is what he has to say. In recent days, coordinated attacks on Nigeria's nationhood has swept across social media, blogs, and television outlets alleging a so-called Christian genocide. It is a coordinated attack. These attacks, driven by foreign actors, mischaracterize Nigeria's domestic conflict, ignoring its complexities, and manipulates long-standing ethnic and resource-based tension to advance sectarian agendas. Ethnic and resource-based tensions. Oh, it has nothing to do with religion. It's, you know what is one thing that I like about Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a propaganda network, an Islamic terrorist propaganda arm that accuses others of doing propaganda. That's how you know you are shameless. You understand? You are the somebody who is working for the government that is being accused of being complicit and ignoring and even facilitating the attacks on Christians. Somebody from that government is going to come out and say, oh, this is just resource-based tension. And Al Jazeera is going to be like, yeah, write it down, make it 1,500 words, and we'll publish it. One of the figures driving this propaganda is American comedian and television host Bill Maher, who used his show to deliver a sensationalized account alleging the systemic slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. I am not a Christian, shocker. But I am okay, sorry, this is him quoting. I thought he was talking about himself. I am not a Christian, that's Bill Maher speaking, but they are systematically killing the Christians in Nigeria. They killed over 100,000 since 2009. They've burnt 1,800 churches. These are the Islamists, Boko Haram, he said. This is so much more of a genocide attempt than what is going on in Gaza. They are literally attempting to wipe out the Christian population of an entire country. His sources are largely fabricated claims and manipulated images from unverified outlets. These distorted narratives drew applause from his audience, while Fox News, true to form, amplified them. Powerful. This misinformation aimed at, dude, before you start saying it is misinformation, give us, what is your name? What is the name of the writer of this nonsense? Gimba. Kakonde or Kakonda, whatever it is, however your name is pronounced. Give us proof that whatever is said here is not true. Show us that the images that are being, the images, the clips, the videos we are seeing from Nigeria are manipulated. You know, when we saw somebody saying, oh, they just attacked my house, they just burnt my house, they burnt everything, and we are running for our life. When we see terrorists attacking a village, a Christian village, when we see churches going up in flames, when we see all of that, when we see Boko Haram release statements saying that they are going to continue killing, they are going to target church, and they are going to rain terror in northern Nigeria, when we see all of that, what part of it is manipulated? What part of it is distorted? This misinformation aimed at maligning Nigeria as much as undermining the gravity of the situation in Gaza. Of course, that is the goal of talking about this. The goal of talking about Nigeria is to undermine the gravity of the situation. It's linked to Nigeria's position at the 2025. It's linked to the position it's linked to Nigeria, not Nigerians, just the VP's position at the 2025 United Nations General Assembly by reaffirming support for a two-state solution for the Palestinian conflict. Nigeria challenged powerful interests invested in one-sided narratives, delivering the statement on behalf of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on September 24. The Vice President, blah, 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 blah. We know all of that. The mischief makers who claim Nigeria ignores its own pressing challenges simply because Palestine was mentioned in only one of the 25 paragraphs could not have built their case on a shakier foundation. Oh yeah, prove it that it is shaky. Nigeria's statement was structured around four clear priorities: a demand for a permanent Nigerian seat at the UN Security Council. You people want to be at the UN Security Council when you cannot even secure your own area. Shameless idiots. As part of broader institutional reform, a call for urgent action on sovereign debt relief and expanded access to trade and finance, and an insistence that host countries of critical minerals should benefit fairly, and an appeal to close the digital divide, echoing the Secretary General's reminder that AI must stand for Africa included. I don't know what any of this has to do with anything, but okay. Good at deflecting, but to get to the point. These points, along with the cautionary lessons shared, what has any of this got to do? Please, let's get to where he starts addressing the main issue. We are how many paragraphs in, and he has not given us any evidence. This is Candace Owens' level of opinion writing. Claims of a religious war between Muslims and Christians in Nigeria is simplistic. It's not a religious war between, a religious war between, as if they are like two parties. One army is Nigerian Christian army, and another army is a Muslim army. That's not what it is being played. It's what the claim is: Muslims, terrorist groups that are Muslims, are waging a genocide campaign on Christian communities in Nigeria. That is the claim. It's simplistic and betrays ignorance of the country's internal dynamic. What is the internal dynamics? Over the decades, both Muslim and Christian communities have at times alleged genocide during crisis. For instance, Muslim leaders claim genocide in class around Jos in Plateau State, while some Christian leaders accuse Muslims of campaigning against Christians in North Central region, often called the Middle Belt, to resist being categorized as part of the Muslim majority North. These mutual accusations show how the term genocide has often been invoked without credible evidence, inflaming tensions. This is the biggest BS I've ever seen in my life. Christians in Jos, he gave Jos as an example. Yes, for a very long time, Jos has been a serious conflict-ridden area in Nigeria. Everybody in Nigeria knows that. And everybody in Nigeria knows who instigates it. This is what happens. Muslims attack communities in Jos. And then the people in Jos try to defend themselves, and then there is a clash. Because vigilantes in this neighborhood are trying to protect their property and protect their own life, and then there is a clash. And then the Christian communities are like, look at what is happening. Look at what these Muslims are doing to us. Look at what they're doing to us. They're trying to eradicate us, and they're trying to eliminate us. They're trying to wipe us out. And then the Muslims are like, oh, look, the one time we tried to attack them, they fought back. That is evidence of genocide. And it's like, oh, you see, both sides are accusing each other of genocide. No. One is lying, one is saying the truth. And you know it. You know it. You see, I know you see that this person and people who sent him, they know this. They know this. In reality, Nigeria's conflict is multifaceted, driven by ethnic rivalries, land disputes. Of course, land disputes. All of this is just land disputes. Land disputes driven by what? We are not denying that it is land disputes. When I mean by it is land dispute, I mean somebody is trying to claim another person's land. We are not denying that. But what is driving that land dispute? Why is this person trying to claim this other person's land? Why are they trying to ethnically cleanse people out of their native land? Why are they trying to do it? Because they want to establish an Islamic majority in those regions. That is what it is. It is land dispute. It's just like somebody shot me and you're like, oh, that's just murder. Oh, it is just murder. You know, that guy that stabbed 2 people at that synagogue, it's just murder. Oh, it's just murder. Let's just categorize it as murder. But why did he kill those people? Because it's an act of terror. It's because of Islam. That is why he did it. That's what we are trying to say. Yes, it is land dispute. They're trying to claim land. But why are they trying to claim those land? It's because they want to wipe out the Christian population. It is that simple. Calling it another name. Land disputes and genocide are not mutually exclusive. Nigeria's conflict is Boko Haram, which emerged in Maiduguri, Borno State in 2009, positioned itself against the Nigeria state as an apostate entity. Okay, that is called the Nigerian state, not against any single religious group. This is a lie from the pit of hell. Not against any single religious group. And then this is the nonsense. Most of its victims have been Muslims. Okay, give us the exact figure of the Muslims that have been killed. You can't even give that because you don't want to even document how many people have been killed by Boko Haram, because it will be alarming when you look at the general figures. Then to say, okay, this one is a Muslim, this one is a Christian. You can't even, data collection in Nigeria is abysmal. People don't do it. Our government is not even interested in that. It's downplaying the figures, claiming like it is not even happening. turning a blind eye. That's what they do very well. But is there anything to justify that majority of the attacks have been Muslims? The answer is no, there is nothing. It's just a claim that he's going to spew out. Second question. Did Boko Haram specifically target churches and Christian communities in northern Nigeria? Yes or no? The Boko Haram, this is one thing I want all these people who say these things to answer. Do they target Christians? Do they kill Christians because they are Christians? Do they bomb churches because it is a church and filled with Christians? Is that why they are attacking these places? Yes or no? Do they go to communities knowing that people who live there are Christians and try to wipe them out and chase them from their land? Is it happening? Yes or no? Stop giving me all this. Boko Haram declared Nigeria to be an apostate state, and the goal is to establish a caliphate. That is their general goal. And they've also killed Muslims. Stop giving me that. Tell me, point blank, like, do they target Christians? Yes or no? And while he is busy talking about how it is both Christian and Muslim, can he tell me what his government, the government he's working for, what they have done to address this issue? How successful have they been? Since 2015, how successful have they been? Similarly, banditry in northern Nigeria often pits Fulani herders against Hausa communities, both predominantly Muslims. Oh, God. A stark example of Muslim on Muslim violence. God. This lie is just, no. This lie is it's just too much. It is just too much. This broader context is crucial to dismantling the oversimplified narrative of one-sided persecution. Every region of Nigeria have both Christians and Muslims living side by side. You are a liar. You are a liar. You are a liar. There is no Muslim and Christian living side by side in Enugu. There is no Muslim and Christian living side by side in Imo State. Yes, you have one or two Muslims who ran from the north and came here, but we are not living side by side. There is no mosque in Abia State. No mosque. So don't give me these Christians and Muslims are getting along. Nonsense. That is something that somebody from the west, from the southwest will say. When you are in Lagos, where one church can be here and one mosque can be here. Oh, we are living side by side in peace. Go to the northern part of the country and see if you can have a mosque and a church separated by one fence, living side by side, my behind. And conflicts typically offload along community lines or regional lines rather than simply religious ones. You are a liar. You are a liar. Fulanis, this is not community and regional lines. Fulanis are terrorist group. In fact, the tribe as a whole at this point act like terrorists, behave like one. God. There's one that I'm looking for. There's one where he says something very ridiculous that I'm looking for because I here's the funny thing. Why he is busy saying, oh, these Muslims are the ones that are also being attacked. Why did Muslims he mentioned it here. They are deemed as apostates. Again, this is like ISIS attacking Muslims because they believe that these Muslims they are attacking are apostates. And then attacking Christians. And then you are saying, oh, but ISIS is not an Islamic terror group that wants to wipe out other religious minorities. Because they kill also Muslims. What kind of stupid, ridiculous argument is this? But there's something that was stated in this. Yes, where is it? There's one place where he said that it is both, or was that edited out of? There's a place where he said that. Yeah. Let's read this paragraph. He said, a significant portion of the violence mischaracterized as religious persecution stemmed from long-standing herder-farmer clashes in the Middle Belt, driven by competition over land and water. Hi, Jesus Christ. Competition over land and water. So I have my house, was given to me by my father. And my father, before him, got it from this is our ancestral land. We own it. And then somebody from Niger who is rearing cattle, came, slaughtered, attacked my community, chased all of us out of the land. And this person said, oh, we are just competing. It's a competition. You understand? It's like football. We were playing and my team lost. You understand? So because my team lost, we have to be slaughtered. And pastors have to be kidnapped. And churches have to be burnt because we lost the competition. It's just land competition, ladies and gentlemen. It's competition. It's a football match. They played basketball and the winning team had to take the land. You know. So maybe after they won the football match, maybe the Fulanis were celebrating like the hooligans do in the UK. So, you know, some people got killed in the process. It's just that kind of land dispute. It's just competition. We are competing for land. It's the Olympics, land Olympics. Olympics, rather. I said Olympics. Olympics. The Fulani headers are mostly Muslims. This is the kind of nonsense that you get from. They are mostly Muslims. Yeah, find me one Fulani header that is a Christian. Find me one. Get one. Get one Ahmed Mustafa Bello from Niger Republic with his cattle that is praying the rosary. Why the farmers from diverse groups, many Christian. The demographic divide can create the illusion of a religious war, but at its roots, but at its roots are disputes over resources. Both sides are perpetrators and victims. Can you imagine? Both sides. Give me one instance of where Christians attack a Muslim community. It's a competition, it's a fair competition. We are dragging land. Give me one instance of where Christians went into a predominantly Muslim community and tried to take their land and kidnap their cleric and try to, you know, burn their mosques because we are competing for land and we kidnap them and say, give us ransom. Give me one instance where Christians in Nigeria did any of these things. These are blatant lies. Blatant lies. Everything that is written in this is just lie upon lie upon lie. Shameless lies. If you think I'm just the one who is angry with what was written in this article, just see how the average Nigerian is responding to this. The average, this is how the average Nigerian is responding to this. Like when this article was released, the average Nigerian, we are just filled with like serious outrage. This is the for those who know, this is the tweet where that accompanied the article, and this is the quoted tweets. Those quoted. Yeah, somebody say Al Jazeera reporting on anything outside the Arab Spring. Al Jazeera was one of the main tools the Islamists used to paint Christian killings as farmer header clash due to climate change for many years. They served the terrorists. This is Shehu Ghazali Sadiq or Sadiq. I don't know how it is pronounced. This is even a Muslim, and he's saying Al Jazeera is an international terrorist broadcasting station. They support Islamic terrorist groups around the world. It is created for Islamic jihad. This is a Muslim in Nigeria. This is not a random guy. Yes, he's not verified on this, but he has over 227,000 followers on Twitter. This is not some random. This is not some random person tweeting. This is how Nigerians are responding to this. This is another person saying Giba once wrote, "I don't owe any non-Muslim and Southern an apology for the atrocities of Boko Haram." He's saying the person who wrote this article once said this: "I don't owe any non-Muslim and Southern an apology for the atrocities of the Boko Haram." This is another person responding to the tweet. Say, "Look at this lie." That is when they say both sides have perpetrators and victims. Very big lie. Here is another Muslim person on Twitter who is kind of like talking about this issue a lot recently. Not just recently, but has always been talking about this issue. He said, "I'm sure the writer of the article, his use of Boko Haram propaganda stunt forgot some key issues. One, they are Islamist groups that seek to suspend the Nigerian constitution and implement a full Sharia state, caliphate. Subsequently, killing any Muslim that disagree with their modus operandi is counted collateral damage, but their primary target, which is obvious, is the infidels, including Christians. The Christian girls among the Chibok girls that Boko Haram took had to either convert to Islam or be released or hold on to their faith and be converted to sex slaves or be forcefully married. Leah Sharibu's defiance says it all." Okay, some people may not understand. There's one of the girls that was kidnapped by Boko Haram. Her name is Leah Sharibu. She refused to convert to to Islam. Because if you want to be released, those girls that were kidnapped, if you want to be released, you have to convert to Islam before they can release you. And even when they release some of them were released pregnant, impregnated by Boko Haram members. And Leah Sharibu refused, and she's still in Boko Haram custody till date. Al Jazeera English must believe people are fools to shift focus on the genocide carried out by Fulani Islamic militia in Nigeria's Middle Belt to an unfortunate debate about Boko Haram, whose mission, primary target, and source of inspiration are obvious to common sense. And why are you more vocal in denying a Christian genocide than condemning the decades-long massacre they suffered by the hands of Fulani Islamic militia? Why do pro-Hamas people who naturally never care about the fate of Christians in Nigeria suddenly become vocal, not for their plight, but to deny the fact of the genocidal massacre they have been suffering for more than a decade? Or a decade. Sometimes I pronounce these statements wrong, incorrectly. Let me read that last paragraph again. Why do pro-Hamas people who naturally never care about the fate of Christians in Nigeria suddenly become vocal, not for the plight of Christians, but to deny the fact of the genocidal massacres they have been suffering for more than a decade? He's right. Here's another person saying, I expect a rebuttal on Fox News platform as soon as possible. You people should not sleep on this. Don't allow these lies of both sides to fly. Boko Haram is a direct offshoot of extremism that has been allowed to fester because it is embedded in the culture. True. It is embedded in the culture of northern Nigerian Muslims. Terrorism, I say it and I say it boldly. It is embedded in it is not an extremist issue. It is a normal thing for northern Nigerian Muslims on average to have terroristic tendencies. I'm not saying it because I'm hateful. I'm not saying it because I'm Islamophobic. I'm saying it because it's true. What the average northern Nigeria would do to a Christian if they get the chance is nothing compared to what Boko Haram has done. This is another person. They are anti-Christian attacks. And the only mosque and Muslim leaders they kill are those against their modus operandi of attacking Christians. They are systematically taking our Christian villages, changing their names in a bid to take over. He doesn't mention that these people imagine that this is happening in a country that has a government. In a country that has a government, we have we have a government, we have a standing military, we have law enforcement, we have all of that. We have a judiciary, we have all of that. In that country, somebody will go to a community, or a group of people will go to a community, wipe out, chase out people living in that community and rename the community and take over that community and start collecting tax for those living in that community. Meanwhile, the government is still there. And when this is brought to the notice of those in the international community, instead of addressing the issue, they're like, oh, no, don't say it is a Christian genocide. This person said, Christians, go and find a reputable platform and write about the killings of Christians in Nigeria. Exactly. Then this person asks, we see a lot of videos of Christians being killed like this, yet we are yet to see one that target. What does it say? We see a lot of videos of Christians being killed like this, yet to see one that targets. I think he's trying to say yet to see one that target Muslims. Yes, he said both sides are guilty. Where is the Christian equivalent of this kind of pictures coming out of Nigeria? Where is the Christian equivalent? Both sides are perpetrators and victims. Where is the Christian equivalent of this? This is Boko Haram executing 3 Christians. And they film it and they publish it on social media. Where is the Christian equivalence of this? This person said, of course, the Islamic regime had to send an Islamic blogger to an Islamic-centric outlet, which is owned by a country known for sponsoring terrorism, to dispute Christian massacres. Pretend to be shocked. Anyway, this is another person. He said, these are just average Nigerians responding to this. You forgot to mention that Boko Haram also abduct, rape, and force Christian girls and women to convert to Islam. Those who refuse are treated as slaves for the rest of their lives. Seem pretty discriminative to me. And of course, Leah Sharibu is a clear example of this. So this piece of bunkum was written by his jihadists for a jihadist media outlet to whitewash the atrocities of jihadists against Nigerian Christians. Exactly. Let me read this one before I move to the other one. This is another response. The Christians are disproportionately killed in these attacks than Muslims. For every one Muslim killed, 500 Christians are killed. It is not even close. And the killings are not isolated to Boko Haram. State-sponsored Fulani headsmen raiders perpetrate the worst violence. That's what I'm saying. That what you see, there is Boko Haram, there are Fulani headsmen, and there is even the average Muslim in northern Nigeria. When you see what the average Muslim is, the other day I shared a news story of where somebody was being killed for blasphemy in northern Nigeria, and even children, we are picking up stones to stone the person. Children. Coolly said, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to do the thing that he wants. From the beginning, he has been someone who murders people. He refused to accept the truth because there is nothing true in him. When he tells lies, he is showing what he is really like. He always tells lies. He is the father of all lies. Of course, he's quoting from John 8:44, where Jesus was responding to the Pharisees. These people are like are real children of the devil. The person who wrote this article, real children of the devil. And so on and so on. You can go on Twitter and just check it out. You and read if even read the comments under the article, and you see how Christians have, not just Christians, but Nigerians are like, what kind of nonsense reporting is this? Who wrote this rubbish? And of course, the goal is to whitewash what is happening in the international community and make people confused about what is actually happening in Nigeria, because that's what they want to do. So that they are so confused, they just ignore it. But it will not be ignored. Your plans will not work. Inshallah, it will not work. And speaking of those who are trying to whitewash what is happening, here is this.
Nations are not happy with.
Here is this Muslim. This is Minister of Interior, Security and Strategic Partnership. Of course, he's working for the administration, so truth will not be found in him.
Nations are not happy with Nigeria's posturing in terms of certain global events that are happening. That is my opinion. Or perhaps some people are just hell-bent on proving certain things that their analysts sitting comfortably in their countries who have never set foot in Nigeria have predicted that by so and so Nigeria will disintegrate. So every single day, Nigeria proves everyone wrong. If I were to...
Which Nigeria is proving everyone wrong? You stupid people. Very, very stupid people. Very, very extremely stupid people. When you see them wear this cap, you know that it's stupidity that is about to come out of their mouth.
To write a book about Nigeria, I would title the book Nigeria ... against all odds. We're here.
Okay. And one thing that got me thinking is that some of this security advisory had been issued in the past, but what really heightened this one was the evacuation of non-essential staff. And we usually see the US doing this in war-torn countries like Syria, Afghanistan.
Are we a war-torn country?
And that's the question I want to ask you.
Are we a war-torn
does it look
country?
like the lens that they are using to actually look at us?
That's their own collective, selective myopia. This is what they want to see, they see. To them, they want us to be for our circle to be their box, and it must fit in their box. It cannot. We're a sovereign nation.
A sovereign nation that have terrorists establishing autonomous zones. Establishing a sovereign nation that has Fulanis taking control of areas, and they are doing nothing. A government within a government. And your government is doing nothing to crack down on that government. But we are a sovereign nation. We are a sovereign nation. Foolish people.
Not a banana republic. We are not.
We are not a what? You are not a what? Say that thing again.
Sovereign nation. We are not a banana republic.
Yeah. With your monkey-looking face, you are going to tell us that you are not a banana republic. Oh, please.
We are not a failing state. We are not a.
You are not a failing state. I don't think you have access to dictionary. The last thing you've ever read in your pathetic life is a dictionary.
Failed state by every single indices. If the problems that they are talking about were real, you and I will not be here in the Hilton having this conversation.
So should we be reviewing our...
Go and take, if they burn your father well, go and have this interview, go and have it in Borno State. If they burn your uncle and your people, your village people, all of them well, go to Kaduna and go and have, you are sitting in Abuja talking this nonsense. Go there and go and have this interview. Go to Kwara State, go there, sleep there that night without security and have this interview. Look at us, we are sitting comfortably in wherever we are sitting in Lagos. And, that's to prove to you that, nothing is happening. Go to those places, go to Benue State and go and have this interview. Rubbish. These bastards run around Nigeria with 24-hour security. Hey, like, if this is a failed state, then why are you and I here having this conversation? It's fools that are listening
security
to
cooperation with these countries.
We should absolutely review, redetermine, realign, reassign, reassess.
You know what? I mean, I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I have seen enough. You have tried. I can only let me not become as angry as the apostate prophet can be. Oh God. Here's another one. Here's another stupid person.
I'm not going to say anything about insecurity or the way to end it.
This is the Sultan of Sokoto. This is the Islamic leader of Nigeria. Like when it comes to this leader of when it comes to the prominent Islamic religious leader and traditional leader in northern Nigeria. This is the person, the Sultan of Sokoto. And of course, he's not going to address the issue of insecurity.
Insecurity or whatever it is. No. I want to adopt all what's been said from the beginning of this program, because these are the ways and means of resolving such issues. But what President Jonathan said, I was expecting him to make a very strong comment about how he really dealt with the issue of Boko Haram, which he used both the military and myself and other stakeholders. But maybe he decided not to, because a book is coming after that from him on how I dealt with Boko Haram issue. And let me also correct you, like I am happy to hear that the Boko Haram is not really Boko Haram, that's not their name. I'm glad to hear that from somebody who is not me. If I were the one who is saying that, somebody would say yes, because I know them. And that's not their name, because I know that they never claimed Boko is haram. If you have listened to some of their audio, which I had, what they're after is the issue of bad governance, because they want to be free, they want to...
Yeah. Boko Haram was all about bad governance. What was their solution to bad governance? Sultan of Sokoto, what was their solution?
Whatever they feel they should do. And I want to correct, and I'm glad this is carried on TV, live. I want to correct this wrong notion that people, non-Muslims, hold about jihad.
Yeah, he wants to make us understand what jihad is. So pay attention. This is the reason why I even brought up this clip. Here is what he has to say about jihad.
It's not to kill a non-Muslim by a Muslim.
Oh God, jihad is not to do what now? Jihad is not to do what now? Oh God. Yeah, it is about internal struggle.
Jihad means to strive.
To strive.
And in whatever you do in life, you strive to be the best you can be.
You don't mean it. You don't mean it. Yes, jihad is not about striving to be the best in whatever you do. That is the meaning of jihad. Just striving to be the best in whatever it is you are doing. Oh, my goodness. The new meaning of jihad is striving to be the best in whatever it is you are doing. Okay. I hope every Muslim is paying attention to this. You know, maybe we may not know this. Please pay attention. That's the new. These people are liars. These people are liars. Muslims, especially the ones from these people, are liars. It's about striving to be. It's about excellence. Islam is all about jihad. Is all about excellence. It's about excellence. Any other definition is a misconception.
You strive to be a good Muslim. You strive to be a good Christian. You strive to be a good farmer or a good.
Yeah, all of us are all committing jihad. Like me, when I strive to be a good Christian, that is me committing jihad. We are all. These people, truth is not in their mouth. Truth. Well, how to know that these people are lying is when their lips start moving. Truth can never be found in their mouth.
Engineer. So jihad is not to kill a non-Muslim. That's a wrong notion people have been airing out for decades.
All right. Just give me a second. Let us see if it is indeed true that jihad is not to kill non-Muslims. Let's just see. Oh, what's that? Let's just see if our Sultan really knows the Quran very well, because it looks like he doesn't know what the Quran is saying. It looks like he doesn't know. He's not aware. Like, maybe he doesn't know what the Quran is saying. So let's show him what the Quran says. Okay? Let's show him what the Quran says. Surah 9 verse 73. Surah 9 verse 73. Let's help our Sultan. Oh prophet. Now, you see what this you know why this word is called struggle? Struggle against the disbelievers and the hypocrite and be firm with them. You know why it is called struggle? Because the word used here is jihad. Yeah, that's the word used here. Let's use another Quran website, because this one obviously doesn't want to tell the truth. Let us understand what remember he said that jihad is not about let's not use this one. Jihad is not about what is it that he said? Jihad is not about fighting non-Muslims. That's a great misconception. We shouldn't, this is a correction that non-Muslims need to understand, right? This is not what I am looking for. What other translation is out there? Please show yourself so I can use it. Let's try QuranX.com. QuranX.com. All right. Surah 9 verse 73. Let's read it in pitch. Let's try all the translation. O prophet, strive against the disbelievers, strive against them, the disbelievers and the hypocrites. Who are the disbelievers? The non-Muslims. Strive against them and strive against the hypocrites. Who are the hypocrites? Who are the hypocrites? That are Muslims who are not really committed. What is Boko Haram doing? They are striving against the disbelievers, and they are striving against the hypocrites. Be harsh with them. Their ultimate abode is hell, a hapless journey's end. Sahih International. O prophet, fight against the disbelievers. Fight against the disbelievers and the hypocrites, and be harsh upon them. And their refuge is hell. The wretched is their destination. Yusuf Ali. O prophet, strive hard. Against who? Strive hard to be excellent. Is that what it is saying? Strive hard to be excellent. Strive hard to be good at being a Muslim. Strive hard against. Why is this striving hard? This jihad. The word here is jihad. Let us look at the root. Let's look at the root. O prophet, that's the first word. Or strive. What is the word there? Jihadi. Jihadi is a form of what? Of the word jihad. Strive. That is, commit jihad. Perform jihad on the disbelievers and the hypocrites. But of course, our Imam wants us to understand that, you know, our Imam wants us to understand that this has nothing to do with anything against disbelievers, okay? It's just strive to be an excellent Muslim. Strive to be, yes, when you strive to be an excellent Muslim, Sultan, what happens? What happens, sir? Yeah, you end up, it turns out that when you strive to be an excellent Muslim, you end up attacking Christians and hypocrites, just like Boko Haram is doing.
And I wrote a foreword on a book. What they are up to. And in whatever you do in life, you strive to be the best you can be. You strive to be a good Muslim. You strive to be a good Christian.
Of course.
You strive to be a good farmer or a good engineer. So jihad is not to kill a non-Muslim. That's a wrong notion people have been airing out for decades.
Yes.
And I wrote a foreword on a book.
Yeah, the first person to air this wrong notion turns out to be the Quran itself. Not for decades, but for 14 since the 7th century. I like one thing that I love about Muslims and Muslim leaders.
Published by the King of
Muslims and Muslim leaders is when they go, they are not afraid to contradict the Quran. They are not afraid to lie about what Allah has said. If the biggest misrepresenters of what Allah has said in His holy book are leaders like this. They come out and they just lie. Jihad is about striving to be excellent. It's about jihad is about the pursuit of excellence, ladies and gentlemen. These are the kind of lies we get from Muslim leaders in Nigeria. And when the government tries to fight these people that are striving to be excellent, we have the Sultan of Sokoto, this same guy, this same person we just heard from, condemning the crackdown. He condemned. This is from the BBC. This is from the BBC. Even the BBC could not. We are like, wow, this is powerful. We have to publish it just like the Sultan of Sokoto has said. And what did he say? He condemned the Boko Haram crackdown. This is from 2011. This is way before Boko Haram became prominent. When who was the president? I think that was Obasanjo was cracking down on Boko Haram. The Sultan of Sokoto, the spiritual leader of Nigeria's Muslims, have condemned the military crackdown against the Islamic Boko Haram sect. We cannot solve violence with violence. Mohammed Said Abubakar told a meeting of religious leaders. That's what he's saying. Oh, the Nigerian government is trying to fight the violence of religious extremism with violence by fighting them back. You know, when somebody attacks you and is bombing communities and is wreaking havoc and is performing acts of terrorism, you cannot fight it back with violence. Okay, you cannot fight violence with violence. Yes, we should all oh, Jesus Christ. Powerful stuff. This is what he was saying as far back as 2011. You know, what he was saying as far back as 2011, when Boko Haram has not become prominent and when the government was being proactive in dealing with them. The staunch defender of Boko Haram back then was the Sultan of Sokoto. Now he wants to tell us about how he has gone to great lengths in dealing with Boko Haram as the Sultan. No, as far back as 2011, sir, you were defending them. You are saying the Nigerian government was approaching them the wrong way. Essentially, we should tolerate them and give them what they want. Whatever it is that they are asking for, let us give it to them. That's how you fight violence. That is the same thing that Sheikh Gumi has come out to say. When kidnappers kidnap people in Nigeria, Sheikh Gumi goes out and say, why are we fighting the kidnappers? Let's give them what they want. They say they want 10 million. Give them 10 million naira. That's what Sheikh Gumi is going around Nigeria saying. And people are here. They want to tell us now that, oh, no, this is not about Islamic terror. This is not about genocide on Christians. These people who have done nothing, who are either defending them, facilitating them, or ignoring them. Here is Shetima. In 2023, just after winning the presidency in Nigeria. Here is Shetima saying, military solution cannot solve insurgency in Nigeria. This is the vice president. That's why when he went to the UNGA this year, he cannot talk about Boko Haram and what needs to be done to address insurgency in Nigeria. No, because military solution is not the solution. Fighting them and warding them off and giving them a decisive military victory is not what it will take to solve the problem of insurgency in Nigeria. No, we have to give these terrorists what they want, essentially. Or he will tell you about how, no, we need to create more jobs. If we create more jobs, people will not be terrorists. Yeah, of course. And one of the ways to fight terrorism, according to these brilliant people, is to give Boko Haram terrorists, people who have raped villages and wreak havoc in community, and drove people out of their land, and bomb churches and kill people and set people on fire and behead them. The solution is to grant them amnesty. And here's the news headline talking about how that amnesty program is going on. Borno's government says repentant terrorists swore by the Quran that they will not return to killing. And now they are blaming the renewed attack in Borno State on this repentant terrorist. That is happening. Let me read the news. Flashback to February 2024, when the Borno State government insisted that 160,000 repentant Boko Haram insurgents could not return to killing because they had sworn an oath on the Quran. Of the 160,000 repentant insurgents, 7,000 have been reportedly resettled and reintegrated into their communities. Remembering this period, insecurity across Nigeria northeast and middle belt intensified, even as the government began rehabilitating former insurgents. Since the start of the de-radicalization and reintegration program, attacks on villages, churches, and farming communities have continued, with reports of massacre and abduction increasing in frequency. Public suspicion have grown that some of these assaults may involve individuals who had previously claimed repentance from Boko Haram, raising questions about the effectiveness of the program and monitoring system. A number of particularly brutal attacks have underscored these fears. In September 2024, over 130 villages were killed. 30 villagers were killed in Yobe State. In July 2025, militants reportedly killed between 100 to 200 Christians in Benue State during an overnight raid on displaced persons shelter in a mission. That means they went to an IDP camp where internally displaced people were living, and they went there and still killed the people who they've already chased from their villages. So you chase people from their villages, they went to to a refugee camp essentially, but for people who are still living in the same country. They went to that place of internally displaced people where they were camping and went there to continue from where they stopped. And suspicion is brewing that people who are perpetrating this attack are the so-called repentant Boko Haram members who the government have claimed and have now reintegrated themselves back to society. Here's something else that is being that just came out recently. I think I've forgotten what this program is. The same program that the Sultan of Sokoto finished speaking. This is Goodluck Jonathan. This is the former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan. And this is what he had to say about the insurgency that is going on in Nigeria.
I will not go through a lengthy protocol because of the time, but there are some few people that we need to recognize. Let me sincerely appreciate what
let's not waste
speakers who listen to the chairman, who listen to the book reviewer, who listen to the former NSA. So I don't really have much to add. But let me first appreciate the man, Irabo. He's really, really a fine officer.
Blah, blah, blah,
and
blah,
the
blah.
title of the book is quite, version can remove it. It's the issue of the Chibok girls. It's a scar that I will die with. But later on, people may know a little more details. And that's also to do with the Boko Haram. What do they really want? Of course, our chairman raised the issue when interviewed some of them, and they gave him some perspective. But probably one day, I pray that some of the Boko Haram leaders may be literate enough to document what they have done, so that people will really know what they wanted. Because it's like the story of the Nigerian Civil War. If you read one of the books, My Command, I think that's one of the first books that came out from President Obasanjo, because he was there. Then Ojukwu wrote his own, Because I Am Involved. So when those who were involved in something say it, you'll get a different perspective. If you go through a research, interview a lot of people, yes, you'll get part of the story, but you will never get the full story of the Boko Haram. Because I was there. The Boko Haram started 2009 when I was the vice president to late Yaradua. Of course, I took over 2010 for 5 years, battling with the Boko Haram until I left. I thought that immediately I leave, within a reasonable time, late General Buhari was going to wipe them out, but till today, the Boko Haram is still there. So the issue of Boko Haram is a little more complex than sometimes we can conjecture. In 1999, when Obasanjo became the president, we know we had some issues in the Southwest. But government was able to bring it down because there was a clear focus, there was clear reason, and government was able to. Then we had issues in the Niger Delta. And when I became the vice president, one of the major things I did was to visit the most dangerous camp of the militants in the Niger Delta. I remember when we flew down to Warri, by the time we got to the waterfront to take boats to that camp, they sent information to us.
No, I just bear with the Nigerian leader. The Nigerian leaders are prominent in telling stories before getting to the reason why we want to hear them in the first place. So just allow him to tell his stories. He's telling stories about how he has dealt with various issues of insecurity in the past, blah, 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 and how their government have been effective, except when it came to Boko Haram. So let's allow him tell all his stories. Let him just...
Anybody following me must not carry a weapon. My ADC, my CSO, that nobody should carry a weapon. In fact, the Commissioner of Police of Delta State said, Vice President, no, you will not go there. The State Director of SSS to say no. The SIP one road this way with their assault rifles, just facing the bush, not even looking at my direction as if there was nothing happening. We passed through them. We had a meeting with their leaders and so on. We had to spend almost 1 hour there. When we came back, that was the beginning of solving the Boko Haram, the Niger Delta crisis. And we're able to get through. At least now, there's a reasonable peace in the Niger Delta. If you
the reason why there's reasonable peace in the Niger Delta is because with Niger Delta, we know what they wanted. Niger Delta crisis was not driven by religious fanaticism, and it was legitimate. The Boko Haram cause is illegitimate, and it's driven by religious. I'm not even justifying insurgency in the South during that period, but it was easy to solve because you know what these people wanted, and you know that they have a legitimate claim or a legitimate grievance. But what is happening in the north? What is the legitimate grievance that people have? Oh, Nigeria is supposed to be an Islamic state.
I mentioned the 82 and 83, when we have the Maitasine religious crisis in this country. From research, the Maitasine religious crisis, when some of them were within that period, and the Rida pest disease that wiped out so many cattle and caused havoc. People who were looking for survival, but they had no skills, and so on and so forth. So if you put all these things together, you begin to say, this Boko Haram, why is it that from 2009 till date, we've not been able to resolve the crisis of Boko Haram?
Why?
So like Bishop Kuka tried to raise some fundamental issues. Yes, we need to approach it differently. The issue of carrots and the stick may be adopted. And yes, probably they need something. But if you look at the weapons they use and you value the weapons, then you know that these are not hungry people.
Oh, finally he's saying it. Boko Haram insurgency doesn't have to do with the fact that these people are hungry and destitute, because the weapon that they use is expensive. Just keep that in mind. He's saying if you look at Boko Haram and the way they operate and the weapons they use, these are not weapons that are used by hungry people. These are not weapons that are... If you see insurgency in Nigeria that are carried out by poor people, the weapons that they use is like laughable. It's laughable. It's like, oh, is this what you are going to use to fight the Nigerian military? But when you see Boko Haram and the way they operate and you see the weapon they use, you're like, no, who is funding these people? These are expensive weaponry. Where are they getting this from? And Jonathan is saying, this shows that these people are not poor. This shows that these people are not hungry. This shows that what is driving these people is not hunger. It's not economic crisis. Because if economic crisis is what is driving you, then maybe, instead of using that money to buy expensive weaponry, use it to feed yourself.
So the soldiers that sometimes capture some of the weapons will see better. But the weapons they use, the ammunition they use, sometimes they even have more ammunition than our soldiers.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This is the former president of Nigeria saying this, that the weapons that the terrorists are using is more sophisticated than the weapons that the Nigerian army has.
Hungry people. And where are these guns, sophisticated weapons coming from? And you begin to see that the external hands are also involved.
Oh, so there are external hands involved. Okay. Okay. Who are those external hands? That will you tell us? Let me tell you. See, I believe that is a theory. You know what? Let me not say it before somebody will come and knock on my door and say I should prove it, even though I'm just airing my opinion. So let me not say it.
Especially when I was president. So it's a bit complex. And it's not a matter of a single story. But I believe as a nation, we have to look at the concept of Boko Haram and approach it differently from. I always appreciate people.
What is the different approach? He doesn't even say. This is one wonderful thing about these politicians. They don't even say, oh, we need to approach it differently. Okay, what's the different approach? Anyways, it's not as much as I dislike Buhari and I dislike Tinubu, Jonathan is no better. Like, good luck, Jonathan is no better. This is somebody who, instead of fighting the issue of insurgency in the north when it was still fresh, he just acted like he didn't even know what was going on. Very confused, very perplexed. Like he wasn't built for this. But yet he wanted to be president.
Clearly document events so that maybe sometimes when we write our own, we'll borrow from the petition. And I believe that all the military officers who were involved in this Boko Haram saga to be able to give us information about what the Boko Haram stood for. If it is only about hunger, because we tried different options. I don't need to give a sermon. It will look as if I'm trying to defend my own government. That will come up later when we document, we write our books. But I believe we took different options, we set different committees. We tried our best within that 5 years that I was there. I believe late Buhari too must have tried his best because one of the committees we set up then, the Boko Haram nominated Buhari to lead their team to negotiate with government.
Did you hear what he just said? You know, this is what Jonathan is doing. Let me explain. Maybe Nigerians, you may not explain what you may not understand what you are watching, but Nigerians understand what he's doing here. This is what we say. You say without saying. You are implying, but he's doing the Nigerian version of Tucker Carlson. But the opposite is that he's not trying to spread propaganda. He's saying something that is true based on information that he has. He's saying, first of all, that the issue of Boko Haram is not about economic instability or economic crisis. These people are not driven by poverty. They're not trying to fight because, oh, our people are disenfranchised or we are poor or we are fighting for the well-being of our people. That anybody who is trying to frame the Boko Haram crisis as something that is driven by economy, by the economy, is not being honest, because these people have money. Because his government, his administration tried the economic approach and it did not work. He's saying there are so many things my administration did. And I know what he's saying. Because during his administration, one of the ways they tried to solve the problem of Boko Haram was to do everything to alleviate poverty in the north. They were like, oh, if we can do poverty alleviation program in the north, it's going to weaken Boko Haram, but it did not work. And then he said that maybe other people involved can tell us what is actually going on because this is a very complex issue. He said even Buhari, that's the late Buhari, probably would, if there was an opportunity to talk with him, he will have something to say because they set up a committee under his government and Boko Haram said, this is what he's saying, that Boko Haram, the terrorist organization, said that their spokesperson will be Buhari, that they nominated Buhari as their spokesperson. Now think about it. Think about it. This is a terrorist organization, an Islamic terrorist organization, and they want Buhari, the former president of Nigeria, to be their spokesperson. What does that tell you? I'm not going to say it before somebody will knock on my door, but what does that tell you? What does that tell you? It reminds you of Ted Cruz when he said that the Nigerian government is facilitating Boko Haram, is facilitating the genocide of Christians, that the Nigerian government is facilitating the attack on Christians. This is an example, or this is something that is suggesting some kind of facilitation, because one of the things that Buhari promised when he was campaigning during his first term, when he wanted to, during his first term or before his first term, what he was campaigning on was that he was going to end the problem of Boko Haram. But Boko Haram became worse under his government. Meanwhile, when he was not in power, he was nominated as their spokesperson.
So I was feeling that, if they nominated Buhari to represent them and have a discussion with the government committee, then when Buhari took over, Could have been an easy way to negotiate with them and they would have handed over their guns, but it was still there till today. I believe the government, luckily the defense minister is here. The service chiefs are all are represented here. I think we will need a slightly different approach, and God willing, we will be able to.
This is Nigeria. And after statements like this, you still have people go on TV and just lie. And just lie. And just lie. As why they are lying, this is ongoing right now in Nigeria. This is ongoing right now in Nigeria. This is breaking news. Oh, this did not open. What is this? Thought it was supposed to open. Oh. Give me a second. Let me get some of this breaking news. I thought I had the link, but the link is not opening. Sorry, give me a second. Let me get it. All right, here it is. As we are debating whether if this is actually a genocide against Christians, while we are having that debate, here is breaking news. This is from 2nd of October. That's 2 days ago. Terrorist kills Ekwa pastor adopted in Kwara after collecting 5 million ransom. So the terrorists went to Kwara State, or attacked the community in Kwara State, kidnapped the pastor, and asked for 5 million naira ransom. They were given the 5 million naira ransom, and after receiving the 5 million naira ransom, they still killed the pastor. We are discussing, is this a targeted attack against Christians? We can still have that conversation why Christians are still dying and the government is doing nothing. Just keep that in mind. That is news number 1. I want you to see it boldly. Terrorists kill Ekwa pastor. Ekwa is a denomination in Nigeria. I've forgotten what it stands for. Ekwa pastor kidnapped in Kwara after collecting 5 million ransom. Meanwhile, still in the same place, still in the same place. Still in the same Kwara State. As we are still discussing, is this Christian or Muslim? This level of insecurity in Nigeria. What is really causing it? Can we really get to the bottom of it? What do we know? How can we know? Where can we know? Who can we know? Do we know? No. Do we not know? How do we know the know? How can we not unknow the known? While we are still analyzing and reanalyzing. This is what is happening right now in Nigeria. Here is another interesting news headline. Yeah? A Kwara tomato farmer cries out as terror attacks cripples farm and livelihood. Somebody's livelihood is being destroyed by these attacks. But we can still keep having, debates and conversations and try to get to the bottom of what is really going on. Here's the news story. And he's even accusing the federal lawmakers of abandoning their constituents, doing nothing to save them, to help their life, while the terrorist attack in their community, in their village, is crippling their farmland, crippling their farming and their means of livelihood. While all of that is happening, what does the Nigerian government do? Address the situation? No. They go to Jazeera to write a new article because that's what is more important. That's what is more important to them. While we are still on that subject, while we are still asking questions, here is another headline. This is from yesterday, 3rd October. Bandits kill 4 including NYSC members, and kidnapped many in southern Kaduna. These are examples of, unreported attacks happening in the north. Especially in southern Kaduna. Southern Kaduna, by the way, is where you have majority of the Christian population in Kaduna. And that is where this attack is going on. And you can see from the names of people that they killed. This is Ibrahim Makama. This is Jonathan Jeremiah. These are people that were killed. And these are people who just finished their NYSC program. They also kidnapped passengers in vehicles. While we are still having the debate, trying to uncover who actually is responsible for who is actually being targeted, whether it is Muslim or a policeman has. This is just from yesterday. A policeman has been kidnapped in the same Kwara state by the same people, by gunmen, unknown gunmen. Of course, that's gunmen is another way for Fulani terrorists. You either call them gunmen, or you call them bandits, or you call them just kidnappers generally, just people who engage in kidnapping, or bandits. Their favorite name tag, bandits, just whatever that means. While we are still, discussing and trying to get to the bottom of that, all of these news stories I'm giving you is just, you can see, is it 2nd of October or 3rd of October? These are not 7 years ago. While we are still on that, while we are still on that, we have the terrorists themselves flexing on social media, displaying the money they collected as ransom from those who they've kidnapped. They even display it on social media proudly. Their video is getting over 600,000 views, and guess what? 14,700 likes on social media, flexing the spoils of war, the Jazeera that they've been able to collect. Meanwhile, we are still asking questions in this country. Why that conversation is going on? I can just keep showing you attacks upon attacks. This is another recent attack in Borno State, the state of the vice president of Nigeria. Here is the video of the attack. You can hear what the attackers are yelling. You can hear that. What did you hear again? Alhamdulillah. 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 Yeah. And look at members of the community. Now they are leaving their community. They are leaving their community to go to Cameroon. They are going to a different country for safety. But at least they are wearing hijab, so we can chalk this one up as it's not an attack on Christians, right? What is the government doing? Nothing. When people attack a community and they are shouting Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Of course, these are people who, Nigeria, my country. Nigeria, my great country. Nigeria, my great. This is what is happening in the country right now. And here is a report from what is happening. Just the recent news is from yesterday. Over 5,000 people have fled Borno State to Cameroon after Boko Haram captured this town in Borno State, the state of the vice president of Nigeria. This is the state where he is from. This is his state. This is happening in his state. Here's what the governor of the state had to say about what happened. He said, I notified the Nigerian military, but my request was ignored. But of course, these people want us to know that anything you are hearing from when somebody like Ted, these people want us to know that when someone like Ted Cruz is saying that the plight of Nigerian Christians is being ignored by the government, he's lying. Okay, but here is the governor, who is not a Christian, by the way, saying that he requested, he knew about the attack and he requested that the military do something about it, and his request was ignored. They won't even listen to the governor when the governor even wants to do something to stop it. And after all the speech that they gave him, you know when they came out, after all the speech they gave about, oh, Kwara, we are on the matter. We want to reassure the public that they can go back to their farmlands, right? Yet we still see policemen being kidnapped, farmland being affected. You understand? And why they are saying, oh, we are on the matter? Why they are still on the matter? This is today. This is news from today. Another community in Kwara State has been attacked. Women have been kidnapped. Why this is I want you to understand when we say the problem in Nigeria is just you don't even know where to begin. Why we are still having a conversation on this whole issue, and we are saying, oh, they just attacked Kwara, and we just talked about Kwara how many days ago, and the government came out with, oh, we are on the matter and we want to assure the public that we are on it, that Kwara is now safe and people can go back to their communities. Why they are telling people that? Meanwhile, those people themselves know better than to listen to the government, and they've left. Why they are still talking about that? Another community has been attacked by bandits, of course, bandits. So when you hear what Ted Cruz is saying, that this problem is being ignored or facilitated by the government, he's not lying. What he's saying is the truth. What he's saying is the truth, 100%. This is the country that we live in, ladies and gentlemen. This country exists with all the problems that I just mentioned. Brethren, sorry that I went on this. I even forgot so many times to tell you guys to smash the like button and to subscribe and to do all of that. This kind of thing just really, it just makes me, it really annoys me. Like every time I talk about it, it's just annoying. So let me look at some super chats. This is from Mo Cow. Thanks for speaking up for Nigerian Christians. It means so much when someone from the country speaks up instead of a third party. Everyone, please pray for our Nigerian sisters and brothers in Christ. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And this is from, give me a second. This is from John. Can you compare Nigeria's response to Islamists to the response in the UK? What one side can learn from another? Or maybe what both need to do? The comparison between, sometimes I say it's just like the UK, but at least the UK will arrest the culprit and maybe sentence him to 20 years until they need to release people from prison. They need to depopulate the prisons. What both sides can learn is not to meet the demands of radical Islam, like it is called. It's just essentially tell the truth, be honest with yourself, enforce your laws. Stop trying to appeal to Muslims. And war is a nation. I'm just going to say this, and it's the truth. War is a nation. A nation is in big trouble when one of the ways your politicians ensure that they stay in power is appealing to a Muslim demographic. If your nation is in that situation, just know that Islamic terrorism is going to become a thing. Muslims are going to be committing atrocities and it will be covered up. Once you have a voting bloc, an Islamic voting bloc in your country, you are going to get things like this. And if they become larger in number, like it is in Nigeria, when they get to almost 50%. Because one thing about Muslims is that, like I said, especially devout Muslims, they vote as a single bloc. They don't. It's hard for you to split their vote. Okay, the Muslims will not you will not get 50-50 vote for in America, that the Muslim population is 50-50 between Democrats and Republicans. No, they are either voting 100% Republicans or 90% Republican, or they are voting 90% Democrat. That is how they vote. That's one thing you can learn from Nigeria. And when you live in that kind of country, your leaders will have to appease Muslims. They will have to dance to the tune of Muslims. Because here's the truth. Any other person who is not a Muslim, even if you are, even as a Christian, you don't vote, you're not that kind of voter who is just even white Americans don't overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. Even Christians in America don't overwhelmingly vote for Republicans. There's always that split because Christians are just we don't vote as a unified bloc. So as a politician, if you're going to play the game of politics, you want to go for people like Muslims. Muslim voters are like the best. They're the best kind of voting bloc you can ever have. Because like I said, they vote as a symbol. You will not split their vote. You will never split their vote. The only thing that will split the Muslim vote, in fact, it will not. But they go to the mosque, the imam tells them who to vote, and they go out and vote for that person. That's how it works. BT said is thanking John and is matching John's super chat. Thank you so much, BT. I really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. Talking back to what John asked, it is the reason why the West should do everything in their power, especially European countries, to reduce the number of Muslims in their it is a real threat, and it's not Islamophobic. To point it out, the more Muslims you have who are voters in your country, the more likely for you to see Sharia, the more likely for you to see this kind of nonsense happening, the more likely for you to see subtle or obvious or blatant jihad taking place in your country, the more likely it is for your government to pretend like it is not happening. Once the number of people who vote, Muslims who vote in your country, keep increasing, especially in a democracy. Democracy is not is in a multicultural society that has Muslims. Democracy is not what works. So if you want if you want to save your democracy, you have to reduce the number of Muslims who vote. And if you can't, then know that your democracy is doomed. That is the truth. Anyway, thank you, everyone. That is all I have for you guys. One more thing that I want to point out is it's just sometimes you just look for things that you can just decide to look for things that will annoy you more. In case you're not annoyed enough, you can find more things. There are always more things to annoy a person. Here is this. Although this is not unrelated, but I saw this and I was so angry. I was like, one of the, Joe Rogan has the Joe Rogan experience. The podcast has been, equally a blessing and equally a curse, because one of the causes of the podcast is giving us people like Theo Von, who gets to say things like this. Somehow, because these people are popular, they feel or are beloved. They feel it gives them the audacity to say certain things. And here is Theo Von.
I would never take my own life. I would never take my own life. Okay? You hear that, Israel? I would never take my own life.
Look at this stupid person. This very painfully stupid person. These are the kind of, it's so unfortunate that these are the people that people pay attention to in America. You understand? The glorification of stupid people. As if Jews are interested in his life. Like his life is that. Even Muslims don't even think you are worth anything. You are a threat. You are a threat to nobody. That's the thing you don't know. You're a threat to absolutely nobody. I'm surprised that you're not in Riyadh right now doing your stand-up comedy set. Maybe we'll talk about that on Monday. We'll talk about the useless comedians that went to Riyadh to show Yeah, well, we are done. We are done with listening to this. Which begs the question: as Christians are being slaughtered in Nigeria, where is Tucker Carlson? Where is Candace Owens? When are they going to say something? You know, these people claim to care about. Oh, Tucker Carlson is like, you know, Christians are being killed in the Holy Land. Christian land is being taken in the Holy Land. Give me a second. I'll be back.
I have so many friends and people that love me and people that I want to see their children grow up. I'm hopeful that I get to have a wife and meet my own children one day. Like there's a ton of things in my life that keep me alive and hopeful, right? I want to be able to have an impact in the world. Those are just a few of them probably, you know? I mean, so many just moments we've shared on this show that I'm like, oh, I live for those things.
Yeah, he's trying to convince us that, oh, he's not suicidal because, you know, he doesn't want Israel. Israel is going to eat. Israel has bigger things to deal with than you. You're the least of anybody's concern. Yeah. And the rest of them, like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, will not even say anything. Will not say anything. The only time that people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens will ever say something about Nigeria is if Jews are involved. If somehow there's a way to make it that, oh, it is the Jews that are killing Christians in Nigeria. If the news can be something like that, oh, you are going to see Tucker Carlson and you are going to see Candace Owens. You know, this is one of those tragedies that they cannot find a way to link to the Kabbalists and whatever it is that they are certain is the cause of the problem in the world. Anyway, guys, thank you all. I really appreciate you all. And I hope we've been able to expose lies that are from the pit of hell. And I'm already exhausted. I know that in the process of in the course of this live stream, I've been so angry that I even started insulting people. And maybe I've not been as Christian as I should, you know. But I was angry. I blame it on the anger. The Muslims made me do it. Okay. But anyways, thank you all for hanging out with me and bearing with me and listening to my rant and attending my TED Talk, my 2 hours, 23 minutes long TED Talk. And as usual, we are going to end with you know, we are going to end with Ali Dawa, you know, telling us what jihad actually means, you know, for those who don't know. So that's what we are going to end with. But before we do, I just want to say, Islam will never prevail. Islam will never prevail. And like Jesus said, like Jesus said, I want to bring up the scripture that Jesus said, talked about this. And, you know, this is in Luke 12, verse 4. Oh, boy. Luke 12, verse 4. Let's use the New King James. Jesus said, I say to you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who can kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will show you whom you should fear. Fear him who, after he has killed, has power to cast into hell. Yes, I say to you, fear him. Now, the point of why I'm bringing this up is to make us understand that we are not afraid of people who can only kill the body. The highest a Muslim or a radical can do is to kill the body, but they cannot kill the soul. They cannot cast the soul into hell. Our fear is with God, who can both kill body and soul. You know. This is the same this thing, but from Matthew, from the book of Matthew, from the gospel according to Matthew. He said, and do not fear those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. And so our fear, we will only fear is God. We will not fear any radical Muslim, because we know who has our soul in his hand, who has said to us that he will never leave us nor forsake us. Which reminds us of what is said in Romans chapter 8, verse 35 to 39. It says, who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Neither tribulation or distress, nor persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword. As it is written, for your sake we are killed all day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Yet in all this we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor heights, nor depths, nor any other created thing shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. That is the confidence that someone like me, like myself, have, and we hold on to, that nothing can separate us from God's love. Another scripture that I want to share with us is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. New King James. New King James. Verse 5 says, let us conduct ourselves without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord is my help. I will not fear. What can man do to me? Again, this is our confidence. That's the confidence you have when you give your life to Christ. When God is in charge of your life, things that radical Muslims do will not faze you. You know, you look at what is happening in Nigeria, despite all these attacks, you still see Christians still devoted to their faith in Christ, still going on, still moving on, still resilient, still facing the day despite the challenges and the persecution that they face. Despite how they are being slaughtered all day long, essentially. And they are being slaughtered that way because of their faith in Christ. Yet they are more than conquerors, and they remain firm in their confession and in their belief and in their willingness to hold on to God and to live righteously and to live for Christ. The reason why they have that is because their life is in the hand of the one who can guarantee the safety of the soul, the one who can save the soul, the one who can redeem the soul. And that person is Jesus Christ. And if anyone is in him, that person is safe from whatever may come their way, especially safe from the judgment that is to come. And that is more deadly than anything that an Islamist can do. That is more deadly than anything that a radical Muslim can do. And the only way to escape that is being in Christ Jesus. So I invite you, come to Christ. Come to Christ, and he will save you from the judgment that is to come. And yeah, that is my message for you. And with that, we bring this live stream to an end by listening to Ali Dawa tell us about Islam. Let me find the clip. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself. I hope you did too. Maybe I did enjoy myself because I was angry for the most part. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. And I hope to see you again. And until I do, stay blessed, stay winning, keep jihading for excellence. And if you have not yet done it, commit the jihad of excellence on the like button, commit the jihad of excellence on the subscribe button, commit the jihad of excellence on the share button, and share this to as many people as possible. Let us share that jihad of excellence that the Sultan of Sokoto was talking about. And until we see again, remain blessed and keep committing the jihad of excellence. Alhamdulillah.
This isn't part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah, there's a reason why there's a capital punishment, because people like you, little weaklings who leave their religion and cause corruption in the land by spreading it, the capital punishment in Islamic law would be applied to you. We have no doubt, and we're proud of that. Yeah, capital